I've never been a really big spender. I tend to be a naturally frugal person simply because I hate the feeling of looking around me and feeling like I'm surrounded by stuff. But I do enjoy spending my money on my loved ones and experiences, and I like having a beautiful, aesthetic surrounding around me as much as the next person. So, just like anybody else, I do have to monitor my spending. And if you've been around here for a while, you know that yes, I definitely advocate for spending within your means, but I'm also very careful to say that you should go spend your money on the things that make you really happy, right? The things that make your life easier, that make you love living in the life that you're creating, and the things that align with your financial values. When it comes to managing your money, the ultimate goal isn't to just hoard as much money as you can. It's to make sure that you're saving for your future, yes, for sure, but then to use the rest of your money to build a life that you actually enjoy living in. I love the motto that Sally Krawcheck uses, and she's the founder of Ellevest. And what she always says is, buy the damn latte. And basically what she's saying is that in personal finance information, there is way too heavy a focus put on teaching people how not to spend their money instead of teaching people actual proper financial skills, like, how to increase their skills and diversify their income, or how to understand the tax code properly to not pay more taxes than you need to. Because at the end of the day, how well you manage your money doesn't come down to just how many lattes you let yourself buy each week. That being said, there are a few things that I have recently decided to stop spending money on that have made a huge difference in my life, and I wanted to share them with you. Not because they've so much made a huge difference in my bank account, but more so because they've made a huge difference in my life. And I'm really trying to focus on making sure that I'm using money to build a life that I actually want to be living, and to be spending my money on things that add to my vision for my life, instead of spending money on things that I feel are detracting from my life. So I'm sorry, Sally Krawcheck. I adore your work. I love your motto, but the first thing that I've had to stop spending money on recently is expensive drinks and lattes at coffee shops. And the reason behind this isn't necessarily because I felt like I needed to save more money. It wasn't that I felt like I was spending too much money on this area of my life, but it was that I was starting to feel sort of a disconnect between the amount of money that I felt like I was paying for good things at coffee shops versus the amount of enjoyment that I was actually getting out of it. So I used to not limit myself on coffee shop spending at all. And that was fine, and I really enjoyed it when I was able to spend like $3.50 or $4.50 on a latte. But I don't know about where you live right now, but where I am and the rates of inflation, I'm finding that a good latte at a good coffee shop, that can run me like $7 or $8 now, which I just don't feel like I personally am getting $7 or $8 worth of enjoyment out of a latte. The second thing that I have stopped spending money on is allowing myself to order food out of tiredness or laziness. And I came to this realization because of two things. First, I had a night where I was hanging out with a friend and we decided to order dinner in instead of making dinner at home. And we ordered this sad little dinner of two not so fresh, not so inspired salads and some risotto balls to share. And that meal with delivery ran us like $90, which is insane, or like somewhere around $90. It was a level that I was like, oh my God, I did not get that level of value out of this. We both agreed. We looked in the fridge and realized we could have made amazing grilled cheese and tomato soup at home, which would have tasted so much better. We would have liked it. And honestly, it would have taken us 10 minutes to make. And the second thing that I realized is that I'm really doing myself a disservice by not prioritizing making good, healthy meals for myself like the vast majority of the time, right? You are made up of what you eat. My brain functions based on how well I feed it throughout the day. I'm an entrepreneur. I need my brain to function. I need to be sharp. I need to have new ideas, good ideas. I need to be thinking, working. So why would I bother finishing the workday and then ordering in some bad food simply because I feel like I'm too tired? The honest truth is also that I have complete autonomy over my life. I work for myself, so I get to decide how long my workdays are and how much I put into my workdays all the time, therefore how much energy I have at the end of the workday. And with all of this in mind, I need to prioritize cooking for myself and, having good, healthy food at home, food from the garden, instead of food that I'm ordering in that has all manners of like weird oils and sugars and things like that in it that at the end of the day aren't feeding my body and my brain what I need to be fed. The third thing that I have decided to completely cut out of my budget is any subscription services to online streaming accounts. I was starting to realize that, again, the money that I was spending on it wasn't money that was going towards building up the life that I wanted to live. It was starting to detract from my life because there are so many other things that I want to spend my time doing. And if I was spending my time watching an hour or more of TV every night, I just wasn't going to have enough time for all the things that I actually wanted to be doing. It's funny, actually, this habit definitely hasn't saved me any money because I cut out the subscriptions, but instead I bought a piano because I wanted to get back to playing piano again. I missed it and I kept feeling like I just didn't have time in my day. But of course I had time in my day. I just wasn't prioritizing it. I was letting myself watch TV instead. The next item that I've cut out is huge, and arguably this is what's made the biggest difference in my life, and that is alcohol. I've never been a big drinker. Drinking has never agreed with me very much. But over the course of the pandemic, like many people, I was bored and I was stressed and I was lonely, and I let drinking sort of creep into my life. And because it had crept in kind of slowly, I didn't realize just how much of an impact it was actually having on me, right? Like I wasn't sleeping properly. I didn't feel like exercising. I was tired all the time. I had anxiety. I'd never had anxiety before. I thought that all of these things were symptoms of stress because of sort of how the world felt, but all of that stuff went away as soon as I cut out drinking. So it was definitely the drinking. And honestly, this is an expense that I don't miss at all. It's saving me money spent on something that I can now very confidently say was actively detracting from my life. So super happy about that decision. Honestly, I don't think I will ever go back to spending money on alcohol because it really reduces my quality of life, and I much prefer the life that I'm living now, and I prefer how much money I'm saving by not drinking. The next item that I've basically stopped spending money on altogether is new clothing. And that's aside from like staple basics. Like I'm not going to go buy secondhand socks or running shoes. That's a bit icky for me and I don't need to do that. But I had started jumping on like the Aritzia bandwagon and stuff because advertising is hella effective. And I realized that A, I started getting super bored and feeling like everyone was wearing the exact same thing. And B, when I was living in Toronto, I always loved thrift shopping. And one of the problems that I experienced when I moved out of the city was that there just weren't any really good thrift stores in my area that I enjoyed going to and where I could actually find anything. So, I shifted to the online shopping model instead of having to drive into the city all the time. But in the last year or so, a couple of very good thrift stores have moved into my area that, have great items. They have great people consigning items there, and I can actually go and find stuff that I like and that I want to wear. So I have decided that I am no longer spending money on new clothing, and instead I'm going back to shopping at thrift stores because I love it so much more. The pieces that you find are super unique. You really get to develop your style. It just makes it way more fun and less sort of utilitarian to go shopping. Overall, none of these changes to my spending habits were made out of a distinct need to save money in any category. It was more so because I realized that my financial values were shifting. So yes, it's great to be saving a little bit of extra money on these areas, but more so it's really nice to be spending my money in a way that I feel really good about and that I feel is supporting my health, my well-being, my values, and is helping me create the life that I want to live. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope this was interesting for you. This is a more personal episode than I usually record. And hopefully I will see you around again next week when I drop a new episode of the How to Adult Show.